welcome back, and if you're brand new here, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Daisy and I am trying to make myself the biggest, sparkliest works of art kind of dresses, starting with this 1930s inspired evening gown. And usually I would be trying to make something fabulous in my videos, but today we're talking about something completely different. I came home from my birthday weekend away, and thank you everyone who wished me a happy birthday last episode. It was so sweet of you. But I came home and I crashed into this big old mental roadblock, and it's been quite tricky to work through. So I thought I'd just chat to you guys and sort of let you know how I found being a really beginner YouTuber, some of the challenges I faced, what I've learned so far, and why I'm giving myself permission to have a break. When I jotted down everything in my head, I kind of managed to arrange it into 3 topics. So we're gonna look at tech, all of the crazy new learnings that I had to take on as a complete technophobe to start YouTube. We're gonna look at the fear of failure, because that is a really big thing for me, and also the time commitment / time management it takes to create my content. So yeah, let's dive in and have a chat. Obviously a bit of a one-sided chat at the moment, but you can ask me stuff in the comments. So when I say beginner YouTuber, I mean really beginner YouTuber. I started my channel in January. I've been doing it for 4.5 months now. I've never learned how to do any of the filming or editing or extra uploady stuff that comes with having a YouTube channel before I started. So that meant a ton of learning from scratch on the fly. So the first thing I needed to get my head around was all of the tech stuff, because despite it feeling like the whole rest of my generation is like completely au fait with computers and tech and phones and all of that stuff, I'm not. I feel like an 80-year-old in a 20-something body. And also, I do not have a ton of money to be spending on all of the gadgetry, and so many videos on how to start YouTube was like, oh yeah, this camera is great and you want this setup and this microphone, and it's all just like, so I have been filming on my phone, absolutely fine, not a bother with that at all. Some of the quality of the videos are pants, but I'm learning, and while I'm learning, I think that's okay. And when I get better and think, okay, maybe I can now spend money on a camera, I will do that. But at the moment, filming on my phone is working perfectly fine for me. I also have a ring light. I think it's just a really cheap ring light, but I honestly don't entirely know, because somebody brought that for me for Christmas, one of me lovely aunties, completely out of the blue. She had no idea I was thinking about doing YouTube or anything, and I got it and I was like, oh, that's gonna be dead handy. So that was fun, but I have actually stopped using that now because I hate having the little circle light reflection in your eye. So I only use that for when I'm filming, you know, me sewing on the table. I don't use it for any face stuff anymore. I actually use daylight, and if it's getting a bit dark, I have an IKEA lamp that I shine on the other side of my face, and that just seems to be working fine for me. My biggest issue with my starter tech was actually my laptop and the editing software. So I had just a really reliable bog standard Dell laptop. This bad boy here, which I got off of a tech friend because he was like, yeah, this is like the Nokia of laptop, it'll keep running for you. And it has been great for general laptoping needs. However, it wasn't big enough, strong enough to cope with editing software. And when I was doing my research to find what I should be editing my videos with, loads of people recommended DaVinci. I was like, great, okay, I'll download DaVinci. My laptop just kept crashing and it was painful. So ended up using OpenShot editor, because it was pretty much the only thing my laptop could run, and it was all really chunky and really painful. But I am really glad that it happened that way, because DaVinci is like an alien spaceship. There are so many dials and whatchamacallits, and it's all super overwhelming if you had never ever edited a video before. It was OpenShot is so much simpler. So for the first 3 episodes, until I upgraded my laptop and could upgrade my editing software to DaVinci, I used OpenShot, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because it let me learn the basics of putting a video together without worrying about having to learn this super technical program. So I am actually really thankful in the end that my laptop crapped out on me. For episode 4, when I did finally move over to DaVinci, it wasn't as overwhelming as it would have been if I was just trying to use it for my first go. So if you're like me and you have zero comprehension of all of the technical stuff that your laptop or iPad can handle, and you don't know whether you can run an editing software on your laptop or not, how I found out what the problem was is I Googled the specification of what's needed to run the editing program. So if you put into Google, DaVinci, specification, it will come up with what your tech needs, and then you can do exactly the same for your brand of laptop. You can put in Dell Latitude specs, and it will come up with the list of specs, and then you just compare the two, and you say, oh, okay, well, it needs so and so VRAM, and my laptop has only got half of that. And so then you can just keep going through until you find one which your laptop can run. And then when you have a bit of time and money and you want to upgrade your tech, you can then use the specification of the software that you want to use to help you find the perfect laptop. The other big issue that I had with all of my starter tech was storage, and I don't think that any of the videos that I'd watched about sort of starting YouTube talked about storage, but my phone and my laptop definitely did not have enough storage for the sheer amount of raw content footage that I was producing. And it got to the stage where I needed to be filming, but I couldn't, because my phone completely was just like, nah, you can't do anymore, I can't take it anymore, you need to get some files off me. So to help with the storage situation, I got myself a NAS, which is basically just an external hard drive that's got 2 terabytes of storage on it, so plenty of space. But you can just do something as simple as paying to up the storage amount on your OneDrive or Google Drive. Okay, so key takeaways from tech were: storage is great, invest in a little bit of storage. You don't need to spend money on super amounts of tech. I use my phone and an IKEA lamp, that's my perfect setup. And don't be afraid to try a more basic editor like OpenShot while you're learning, because I found it really helpful to learn the basics before moving on to a big editor like DaVinci. Fear of failure. Oh boy, this is a big one, especially if you have been raised to be a good girl who looks after everyone and makes sure that everybody else is happy. The fear of letting people down, not doing a good job, potentially getting negative comments, just is big. And there's probably going to be somebody watching this being like, well, of course, what did you expect? You're putting yourself out there in public, you're going to get people who don't like you. Stop whinging about it. And to an extent, they're absolutely right. And I definitely didn't go into this naive and think that I wasn't going to get sort of negative comments, and that I wouldn't I would be big and bold and fierce and not let any of this stuff bother me. So what I found in this process is there's two sides to my brain. There's one side who's completely eyes wide open, being like, cool, okay, knew this was going to happen, it doesn't really matter, put it in a box. Are you going to care about it in 10 years' time? Are they saying anything that's actually helpful, valuable? What can you learn from this? That kind of half of your brain. But there's another side which you can't really turn off, and it happens at the same time, which is pure sort of animal instinct. You get the feels, you feel hurt, even though logically you're not bothered about it. Emotionally, I still get really affected, and I think that's absolutely fine. You know, we can't all be robots. You can logically be cool with it and emotionally be in pain. And if you experience that too, well, at least now you know you're not alone. So for me, the fear of failure, fear of letting people down, popped up in several different surprising ways. The first thing was actually just being brave enough to put the first episode up, and how I managed to get through that was just in my head. I was like, this is so rubbish, nobody is ever gonna see it. No one's ever gonna see it. It's cool. I'm cool with that. My first year on YouTube, no one's watching. Great. So that worked for the first 2 episodes. And then episode 3 happened, where suddenly I went from maybe about 40 people watching my first video to suddenly 200 people watching the third video. And I was like, ah. That was exciting. So I was really pumped for episode 4. I'd changed my laptop, I'd started using DaVinci, I thought it was my best episode yet, and it went, it did way worse than episode 3, and that fear of failure suddenly morphed from, not caring, no one's watching, it's all rubbish, into thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing really well, this is great, and then suddenly worrying that people are watching, but maybe they're not liking it. And that turned into an almost fixation on how many views each of the videos was getting. And it got to the point where I was looking sort of every 5-10 minutes after I'd uploaded a video for maybe like 4 or 5 days, being like, oh, how's it doing? Which is really obviously not healthy. In the end, what I had to do to help myself get out of that is I had to put a ban on myself checking the channel in the first 48 hours. Because then once I got over that 48-hour hump, I was kind of enough into the next video to not worry too much about the one I just posted. Then I was doing a bit of research to help me do better titles, and I came across this newsletter called Creator Hooks, which I found really helpful. And so I kind of used that on a couple of episodes, and those episodes did really well. I went from, I was getting sort of like up to 400-500 views to suddenly I got 2,000 views and a ton of subscribers. And from that, the fear of failure morphed into being afraid that I couldn't reproduce that result and fear of it being good. And weirdly, what I found is the week after that sort of success, I found it hard to concentrate and produce the next episode. I know that sounds strange, but I really, really had to sit myself down and really try and bash out some work because I was really struggling with it. And the only way that I could carry on producing is by taking myself all the way back to the beginning and giving myself a pep talk and saying, it doesn't matter what is going on right now, your next video is going to be crap, nobody's going to watch, and that is fine. You just need to make the video and get it out there no matter what it's like. I think for anyone who's really in their head and ruminates a lot over stuff, which I do, and I think it's a byproduct of being creative. My brain's just always firing. I think sometimes just taking all of the stakes out and just being like, all that matters is getting the job done, for me, has been a lifeline. And then the final way my fear manifested was in order to stop ruminating so much on how many people are watching the video, how many subscribers there are, I was like, great, I'm just going to focus on the comments and just, you know, interacting with people and, you know, seeing what everyone has to say. I was getting some really, really lovely comments. This is brilliant. It's made me want to go and sew a Marilyn dress, go and try this thing. That is so joyful. It's so fulfilling. So I focused in on the comments to help stop ruminating over the numbers. All great until suddenly you get a comment that's not so fab. And as I was saying earlier, was completely eyes open to the thought that this is going to happen. But as I said, it's logically you can take that apart and be cool with it. Emotionally, still a sledgehammer to the gut. That honestly put so much fear into me about putting the next video out. Suddenly the stakes, it feels a lot more raw. So producing the video for the next week was way harder because suddenly you've had that negative interaction and your brain wants to run away from danger. It's a perfectly normal human reaction to have. And you got to put yourself out there again, and you're possibly gonna have a repeat of that experience, and your brain wants to protect you in any way it can. And so, you know, it does make it tricky. And bearing in mind, these negative comments are so few and far between. There's so many really, really lovely, awesome comments. So to help me kind of get through that, I actually put together a Word document of all of the really, really lovely comments. So they're all in one place and I can look at them all and, you know, remind myself that I am doing a good job. You know, there's plenty of people who like what I'm doing. And it's okay that not everybody likes you. So to summarise this section, the fear of failure, the fear of letting people down, while logically I can completely separate it, understand it, put it in a box, fine, I don't think it's going to be something that I will ever get rid of, just because of how I was raised to be basically a people pleaser. Try not to get too bogged down in the numbers, especially as you're just beginning. My thoughts are I'm going to get an entire year done, out of the way, and then I will analyse all of the data that I have to move forward on. I think that if I try and analyse things this early on, I'm going to get into analysis paralysis and not be able to make content because I'm too worried about how it might affect subscribers or how it might affect views. I think the biggest step for myself for unfreezing from the fear is by taking action and just taking the smallest action step to start with and building from there, even if that step is as simple as sitting down at my desk and staring at my laptop. It's okay to feel feelings. You don't have to be 100% logical side of your brain when you're dealing with how you feel about comments. Just don't let it stop you from doing what you're doing. Feel the feelings, but keep moving towards your goals. Don't let it dissuade you. And know that you're not alone. I feel feelings too. Okay, point 3, time commitment / time management. So I'm putting a big caveat on this because it really depends on what your YouTube channel is about. Different topics take different amounts of time. I have a channel where I create things, I make things, and so I have two lots of sort of time management to juggle. I have the time that it takes to create the thing that I'm filming, and then obviously I have the time it takes to film and edit and all of that stuff. If you were having a channel which was more just what I'm doing now, where I'm just talking to the camera and we're discussing a topic, you know, your time there would just be researching, filming, editing. You could probably, you know, do that in a day, whereas what I'm doing, it takes at least 3, 4, 5 days to make something small, and then you've got all the filming and editing on top of that. So for this channel, I'm pulling 60, 70 hours a week, and that is a lot. And it's definitely something that I didn't think of before I started the channel. So if you're considering starting a YouTube channel, have a think about how much time you have to commit to this and how long it is actually going to take you to do what you want to do. So I had no clue how long this was going to take me. When I started this channel at the beginning of January, I set myself the task of posting one long form video every week. Bearing in mind that I had never filmed or video edited before while I was making these things, I'm actually beyond proud of myself that I have continually posted a video for 19 weeks now. One thing that I have noticed that definitely does help is the longer that I spend in the planning stage, figuring out what I'm going to be doing, what shots I want, what story I'm trying to tell. If I spend more time in that stage, then everything else is so much quicker. It's really, really amazing how much easier everything else is if you double the time that you spend planning. So hot tip, plan. Now, having said that, my number one challenge on my channel is running out of time. My topic is so time intensive. It takes me 4 or 5 days to create something small like the Chanel suit or the fun attempt at a Met Gala dress. And that is not even considering the insane amount of time it took me to make the 1930s inspired dress. It's wild. I have got no issues working the 60, 70 hours that I'm pulling at the moment. And that's not even taking into consideration the rest of the time where I'm not working and I'm still thinking about it, because I really enjoy it. I'm having so much fun making stuff, filming stuff, showing it to you guys. It's great. My problem is that as I speedily try to sew into the small hours and edit up until the very last moment, the quality of what I am making and the quality of my video just plummet. And I don't want to be giving you guys rubbish just for the sake of getting it out on time on this schedule that I decided all the way back in January when I had no idea how to YouTube and I was giving it a go for the first time. I know there's a value in being there and being consistent, which is why I decided on putting a video out once a week. But if the content of the actual video and the quality of the video is rubbish, what's the point? I want to make this a good channel that people find value in and enjoy being here, and you know, make a nice fun community of making things. And it's really, really hard to achieve that when I'm running at a frantic pace, just constantly in urgent alert mode, just trying to quickly make something and then quickly film it and quickly edit it and get it out on Friday. I'm editing at the last minute on Friday to get it out, and then thinking over the next idea at the weekend, and even starting the next, you know, I've not got my time management down. I seriously need a better plan and better systems to help me achieve all that I want to do with this channel. And I think this is probably a classic beginner's mistake, just trying to do everything too fast, too quickly. What I should have probably done instead is really sort of slowly start, maybe post once a month, once every 2 weeks, and very slowly build it up so that as my skills increased with learning how to film and YouTube, then I could start increasing my output. And by going in at this high urgent level for 19 weeks now, I am really quickly approaching burnout. It's not sustainable at all. Okay, cool. So that's my biggest problem. What am I going to do about it? Because I obviously need to do something about it because I want to carry on. I'm having so much fun. I want to be here with you guys. So here's my plan. Number one, I'm going to take my original idea for the channel and turn it into a series that happens once or twice a year. And that is because making a big, beautiful piece of art kind of a dress takes a crazy amount of time. And if you just take the 100 hours that it took to make the beaded panel on the last dress, there are only so many weeks of beading updates you guys can take before it starts getting super boring, and I don't want that. Number two, I'm taking a break, and that's difficult because I set myself a goal of posting every week, and by taking a break I am failing. I've failed at that goal, and that's okay. I've just had to accept that and also weigh up in my head whether that was an important goal to begin with. Is it important to post every week, or is it important to take the time to rethink about the channel and think about where we're going to go next and get myself in a better place? In the break, I also am going to be practicing a bit of self-care, which is really needed because in this frantic scrabble week on week to produce content, because my time management has been bad, loads of stuff has been waylaid. My morning routines are shot. I've not exercised as much as I should have. I've not eaten well. And also there are other activities that I need to do to keep me happy and healthy. So I'm going to be focusing back on my morning routines. Also acting in A Curious Incident of a Dog in the Night and focusing on my boxing training. The thought being is if I make sure that all my other buckets are filled up, I will have more to give to my YouTube. And then I'm also going to use the time to figure out what to do with my YouTube next. Think about ideas of where to go, do some planning, make some more systems and get ahead with filming so that when I do start back up again, I'm not working deadline to deadline, week to week in a mad rush. And number three, I'm going to post less. I should have done this from the beginning. I've gone too hard, too fast, and it's not sustainable. So when I get back from my break, I'm going to post once every 2 weeks instead of once every week. And hopefully this will give me the time to make my physical products and film and get it all out. And that should hopefully give me some more time to also chat to people in the comments. I've definitely let that slide recently because I've just been on such a mad scramble, and also start promoting the channel on other social media platforms and maybe get some more time to do some more research and analytics. There we are. Time management is tricky. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to adapt my channel idea. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to post less. Before I sign off for my break, I want to thank all of my supporters, all of you who subscribe or don't subscribe, who watch the videos, who put fantastic comments. Thank you so much for being here on the journey. I really, really appreciate you all. And do not worry, my break is not going to be for long. It's just for the rest of May, so I will be back on the first Friday of June with hopefully something fun, but I don't know what that will be yet. I hope you have found something interesting or valuable from this video, or you just enjoyed chilling with me for however long this video is. I hope you all have a wonderful week, keep being fabulous, and I will see you in June. Bye.